Welcome to Xooma Worldwide's Health Education Conference Call. This recording is for educational purposes only. The name brand products referenced are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or mitigate any disease or illness. Health testimonies represent the personal experiences of the individuals and should not be viewed as medical advice. Please enjoy today's call.
All right, folks, once again, I want to thank you for being on this call tonight. And again, this is Ken Marsh. This is Xooma's Health Education Call. And for those of you who are regular attendees, you know we do this call the first and third Thursday of every single month. And here we are on the 4th of June, 2020, our first call of June. And I'm excited about it. We've got a lot of great information coming your way tonight. Before we get into that call, I want to, first of all, congratulate those of you who are out there right now sharing Xooma with others. If you've been on any of our calls recently or you've been paying attention to some of the communications you're getting from Xooma, you've seen that business is really growing strong for us right now. And, you know, I'm excited about that for a lot of reasons. Of course, if you're in business, especially in today's difficult times, having a business that's not only in business but thriving is sadly all too rare right now. And we are definitely a business that is thriving. But what I translate that to when I see how well Xooma is doing and how many new folks are joining our company and how many folks are really discovering what Xooma is and what it can do for them and their families, is I know there's a lot of people who are probably sleeping better at night, who are feeling better about themselves and their future more specifically when it comes to their health. I mean, obviously we're living in some very challenging times these days, and when I see the kind of growth that's happening in Xooma, I realize that there's a lot of people's lives that are being positively transformed because they've now discovered Xooma. And again, that doesn't happen by accident. I realize that's thanks to so many of you out there that are willing to tell others about Xooma and share our company and our products with them. And the testimonies, my goodness, in just the last few months, the testimonies that are coming into Xooma, so many people, especially that, you know, maybe in the past were somewhat dismissive of natural health products that are suddenly discovering just how awesome Xooma products can be for themselves and their family. And again, maybe, you know, being in this pandemic world we're living in today had something to do with that as far as people, you know, thinking about and becoming more aware of their own personal health. But whatever the reason, whatever the cause, I want to thank all of you out there who are out there sharing Xooma with others. You're making a difference in their lives, and it's certainly doing a great job at helping continue to grow our company. So thank you for everything you're doing out there. But tonight's call is focused on your health and wellness. That's why we do this call. It's designed to help give information, education, maybe in some cases some inspiration for some of you to enjoy more abundant health with yourself, your family, and especially those people that you care about. And that's why we do these calls. And tonight I get to spend some time with a good friend of mine, a gentleman who's been part of the Xooma family forever. I say forever because he's been here so many years I've forgotten at this point how many years. And he's a gentleman that, you know, anytime I need him, anytime I call on him and ask him for anything, he's there to help and always glad to do anything he can to support the Xooma family. Despite as busy as he normally is, he always makes, of course, time when he can to carve out for these calls and other things that he does in support of us. He's a chiropractic doctor. He's a health and wellness expert and a very accomplished martial artist, which is why I never tease him too much. Of course, I'm talking about our very own Dr. Michael Trillia. So, Dr. T, are you out there?
I am, Dr. Marsh. Good evening to you and everyone. How are you?
Terrific, my friend. I'm looking at my screen. We got a lot of folks actually listening in tonight, but we're on mute, so you can't hear them, but they can definitely hear you.
Well, I'm excited about that, and I did touch base right at the very end of the call, or as you were having people call in, and it's just so good to hear people. I mean, I hear my great friend Daryl Cooper out there, who's just one of the most awesome team members, just so many people out there. And how many years? I believe this will be my 16th year, May, when you guys started Xooma and let me come aboard. I think it's been that many years ago, so that's how many years I've been with you guys. Can you believe it?
It's amazing. You know, and it's funny. I've known you for a long time, and, you know, I'm going to say this, and I really mean it, and people listening in are probably going to think I'm just you know, trying to make sure that you don't hurt me next time because of your martial arts skills. But I mean this. You, to me, look virtually the same when I met you 16 years ago. I mean, must be something in the water, Dr. T.
It definitely is, and you know, again, for you, this call is designed, as we speak about many times, for the new person on the line. But I hear, you know, many older time people been out there for a long time with the company, you know, like Daryl. Daryl's going to know every single thing I'm going to say. He's been out there so long, and what's awesome about the Xooma family, in my opinion, is that we get together, and when we get together, you know, Daryl will call me every once in a while and just send me a little text, or when we get together at a corporate meeting, it's like we pick right up where we left off. And Ken, you and I certainly, we're talking every other week or so, and as you said, you can pick up the phone anytime, get to me, and I can certainly get to you, and it's awfully great because we've been able to kick back and forth ideas, concepts, and things that one of us may think about and the other and didn't, or we didn't think about it from that angle, that we're able then to present these ideas to the team. So those of you, again, who are new out there, really take advantage of that, because, you know, all these calls, again, are on the back office. But, you know, look to your upline, look to the Daryl Coopers, because they can tell you the stories of, you know, well, this and this and this is happening. How should I approach it, or how should I look at it? Again, we can never prescribe. We don't diagnose. We don't treat as Xooma members. But what we do is say to them, either anecdotally, what has happened to us personally, or to one of our team members. And there's lots and lots and lots of testimonials, as Ken said, to back up what we do without making false claims or weird claims or wild claims. So always keep that in mind. You know, I've been a doctor of chiropractic over 35 years, and I'm very excited today as I was 35 years ago when I started, about the power of the body to heal itself. Now, look, I'm not anti-drugs or surgery. I believe there is a time and place for both. But what I believe even more is the power of the body to heal itself, the God-given gift that if we do the right things enough times, that's what we have to do. Put what's given to us, what we have on this earth, into this system and allow the body to heal itself. And many, many times that can be true and that can happen. You know, to do that, what's the best thing for us to take? What is the best thing for us to do? Well, it's kind of interesting because, we just passed Memorial Day here in the United States, and one Memorial Day I was asked to speak to a group, and so I wasn't quite sure how I was going to handle that. And first of all, it was sad. I heard a sad statistic the other day. It said 57% of Americans had no idea what Memorial Day was for. Well, for sure I can tell you it's not to cook hamburgers. It's not about having a better hot dog or having a party or having a parade. All those things are wonderful in recognition for what the true meaning is, and that's all of those who gave their lives for us to have that hamburger, to have that hot dog, to have that parade. So please make sure you spread that word. It's not about vets who are living. Mr. Ron Howe served this country, you know, very generously, and but it wasn't about him. It wasn't about his time. It was about the people who fell. Every time I go to Gettysburg, we have a little place over there. When I look out in that field, all I can see is 600,000 bodies strewn all over that field, north and south, just to have our freedom today. So I didn't mean to get off on that too much, but let's remember what that day is for. But to the point of Xooma, when I gave the talk, the first question I asked is, how many of you in here were in the Marine Corps? And man, you know, hoorah, and everybody was excited. And, you know, who do you think is the best? And, of course, out of all the military. And, of course, the Marines said they absolutely were. And then I said, well, is anybody in here from the Army? And, yeah, we got a big rousing applause from all the Army guys and gals. And I said, who do you think is the best in the military, the U.S. military? And, of course, it was the Army guys and gals. And then I said, how about Navy? Same thing, same response. They were the best. And how about Air Force? Same thing. They were the best. Coast Guard, same thing. All of them were the best. And the reality is they're all the best because they're all what we call the United States military. They team together to create the greatest military on the face of this planet. And believe me, when you're in the foxhole or you're in a tough situation, you really don't care if it's a Marine or an Army guy or whoever it is beside you or gal that's beside you, as long as they believe in the principle of this great country. And they're unified into one to make it great, to make the whole great, to keep our country safe, to keep each other safe, and to back each other up. And as I thought about that over this last Memorial Day, it came to me about our Xooma products in this kind of crazy time. But what I want you to do is not focus on this crazy time. I want you to focus on what we do. I want you to focus on the reality of who Xooma is. What have you heard since day one when you came in from me from almost 16 years ago, I believe it is, to today, to change the health of a generation? And that's what we've been doing. And last time I spoke with you guys, and I'm going to be doing probably my paper on it for the Xooma newsletter this time, but that it's not about the pathogen. You know, it's about the host. And so to that end, when I look at what are the best nutrients that Xooma could take, it really depends on you. It depends on what you need at that specific point in time. For example, let's talk about changing the health of the generation. And yes, we're in this COVID thing at this point in time, but to me that's just another name for a dis-ease that's going to be left undone that will create disease. And so to me, we really shouldn't act much different in that we should have a foundational truth, and that truth is, what does the body need to heal itself? And again, as many times as I've quoted, health from Dorland's Medical Dictionary that all physicians use states that health is not merely the absence of disease or infirmity, but the 100% function of all bodily tissue. Again, I clearly love to repeat this because it's very important. You didn't hear anything in that about it's how you feel. It doesn't say, I feel good, therefore I must be healthy. It doesn't say anything about your pain level. It doesn't say anything about, I have no pain, therefore I must be healthy. It says, health is not merely the absence of disease or infirmity, but the 100% function of all bodily tissue. Well, how do we get that? Well, let's look back at how this body is wonderfully and miraculously formed. Well, it starts with the only time in mathematics that 1 + 1 = 2. You have one sperm, one egg, and they can be 5 feet apart, 5 inches apart, 5 centimeters apart. There is no life. But once they touch, they begin to form life. 1 + 1 = the zygote. And then you have 2 cells, 4, 8, 16, 32, 128, so forth and so on. You have these cells that make you, you. And when you understand every single cell in your body is basically a mini you. That cell has to eat, it has to drink, it has to excrete. So why not look at foundational products that will make that cell work as we're talking about health, as we're talking about wellness. Now, you also must add to that, because you can take all the Xooma products in the world, and hear me clearly, none of them will do you any good, or most of them will do you very little good if you're doing all these other things. I had a patient not too long ago to the point, he was drinking 8 Mountain Dews a day, smoked a pack of cigarettes, and went through a tin of chewing tobacco a week. Now, I said, you might as well take your money that you're spending on the Xooma products and pour it down the toilet. I mean, I was just honest with you. You see, you can't continue to do all these weird things to the system and then expect the Xooma product to work. It's got to be a total systems concept of health for you to get healthier. I guarantee you Dr. Marsh on this line right now takes many, 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 many Xooma products, but I also know he works out. Well, why would he work out if he just believed the Xooma products was all you needed to be healthy? It's not. It's a multifaceted health thing to obtain health and then maintain health. And so fitness is part of that paradigm. It's part of your strategic plan, but fitness is just one of the tactics. Xooma's nutritionals are one of the tactics. So what do we say is the problem inside the body? What begins the problem? What starts it in dis-ease? Well, we talk about 3 major problems with the cell. 1, poor hydration. 2, poor pH. 3, poor mineralization. So let's just take a look at Xooma's products, just a few of them, and what is it we could do to enhance those cells to have all those things? Because you will have your patients or clients or whatever you call them every single day. They tell me the same thing they tell you. You think because, you know, Brody's out there and Marsh is out there and Trillia's out there, that all of us, when we speak, man, people just fall over and take all the nutrients. It doesn't work that way. They question what we say also. And I find whoever has more bullets in their gun wins. They come back to me constantly, Doc. I mean, I've had people come in and tell me they drink 2 gallons of water a day. There is no possible way. I just don't believe anybody does that, let alone a lot of patients. They don't even drink a gallon a day. But they want to impress you, whoever you are, when you say, hey, you need hydration. Oh, yeah, I know that. Man, I drink a gallon of water a day. Great. Do you know how many ounces that is? No. Well, we want you to drink half your body weight in ounces a day. So if you're 200 pounds, you need 100 ounces. At 128 ounces are in a gallon. So you're telling me you drink 256 ounces of water a day. Well, their eyes get kind of big because, see, they really don't know. They've heard some things. They know they want to impress you, so they give you this false number, this false statement that's nowhere near true. And then you really find out they might drink 2 glasses of water a day. Oh, I thought you meant also iced tea. No, iced tea doesn't count. And beer. No, if you can make beer work, we'll all make a lot of money because we can't make beer work towards your hydration. So number 1 is for the people to drink approximately half their body weight in ounces of water a day. And, of course, there's some deviations to that, but it depends on the person and their health condition. But for right now, that's for another conversation. But basically, half your body weight in ounces of water a day is what we want to target. So I tell my clients, if I'm going to drink that much water, I want to drink the most powerful water on the planet. And you know what their answer to me is? Oh, I do. I never drink regular water out of the tap. I drink bottled water. We hear it all the time. All of us have been out there any length of time. We hear it all. I drink bottled water. And I said, great. Tell you what, when you go home tonight, I want you to take your bottle of water, look on the side, and tell me exactly what the pH is. Well, I don't think I've ever seen it. No, you've never seen it. I think there might be one brand out there that may now have a pH on it, but 99% do not, which means they could be taking that water from my tap, from Dr. Marsh's tap. You know, they could take it anywhere because there is no pH on the side. And as a matter of fact, in some of the Xooma that you've been to, some of our corporate meetings, they've actually measured many of the Dasanis and different brands and did the pH thing and found out it was far below 7. So number 1 is getting the proper amount of water. And if you're going to drink that much water, why not drink the most powerful water on the planet? What is that? pH above 7. How do we get that? X2O. So to me, X2O for the whole 15, 16 years I've been with the company is and has been my foundational product, and just my belief, my personal belief. I believe every single person on this line, every single person in Xooma, and every single person on this planet needs that product as their baseline for their health. Will it get them well? Yes, it will help them get well. It won't get them well, but it will help them toward wellness. It's not enough. It's not enough for them to get a total just explosion of health, although many people get an explosion of energy and feeling better, and they will, but the next phase is they also have to get enough minerals in the body. Now, Xooma X2O has 70 minerals, which is great. So you're doing a couple of things at one time. You're pumping up the proper amount of hydration, and then with that, with the X2O, you're getting the pH up to where it needs to be. And number 3, you're beginning to get the minerals in the body. But here comes COVID. Here comes something of that nature. And again, to me, that's just a term. That's just a word. What we need to understand, one of my other company that I have, we're building this, we've built this mobile diagnostic lab. And our pitch to the people is, it really has nothing to do about COVID. They said, well, why then are you doing it? I said, because have you ever heard of N1H1? Have you ever heard of Ebola? Have you ever heard of malaria? Have you ever heard of tuberculosis? There has always been outbreaks of things in this country, and there will continue to be outbreaks of things in this country. So our lab is designed, let's be able to test whatever comes along. And I looked at that from the Xooma perspective, and that's the same thing. Let's not treat a symptom or a disease. Why not treat the body? The body knows what to do, and let it heal itself. So all of a sudden, if you have other health issues, let's say you have a little bit of cardiac problems or blood pressure problems or that kind of thing, well, why not add to that mix things like cardiozyme? That's tremendous for the cardiovascular system. Well, what about you're feeling a little sluggish, you're feeling a little slow, low, your blood levels are off? Well, hey, you may have some parasites in the blood. So why not get on natural selection to start cleansing the blood? And you see, for me, and we've talked about this in military terms before, and in military terms, I see my body at war every single day. It doesn't matter how I feel. And I can't I just have a very difficult time getting that through to even my patients that I bang on every day mentally to explain to them, I'm glad you feel better. But if you don't continue your regime of health and wellness, the body will catch up to you. But the sad thing is, it is, again, as I said earlier, so miraculously made that the body can go years and years and years and have very little symptoms. I've said it many times. I see people come in, they're mid-70s, early 80s, all bent over. When did your pain come on and start? 1 to 3 months ago. I'll x-ray them, and again, if you could look through the front of their body, I will see bone spurs growing out, ankylosing spondylosis locking together from the front. Those people literally cannot stand up. Now, hear what I said. 1 to 3 months is when they had their continuing pain and problem. Symptoms. That ankylosing spondylosis that I see, those spurs that have grown together, 20 to 30 years to make. No. Yes, 20 to 30 years for them to get that big. So they had the problem coming on, but again, the body's so miraculously made that they didn't feel it, or they would take pain pills and potions, things that would kill the pain, but no one corrected the problem. You know, we just had a family member that's diagnosed with, I'm afraid, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And that person, their temperature is up and their blood count is way off. Their white cells are off, extremely fatigued. And here's what was interesting about their comment. And I know they didn't hydrate very much, and I know they smoked for a long time, but then they did stop. But I know their nutrition is not the best, and I know nutritionally what they take is not that much. But the interesting comment they made to me of all people, wow, this kind of thing doesn't happen to me. This kind of thing happens to other people. Well, you see, you can't continue to abuse this body, but we believe that for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, and all of a sudden it completely collapses. No, it's been a long time building up. Health is not merely the absence of disease or infirmity, but the 100% function of all bodily tissue. So as we begin again to look at our Xooma products and our Xooma line, I look at it no different than I do, again, our military. That's my analogy. In that each product is fantastic. The X2O is our Marines. You know, our life source is our Army. You know, so forth and so on. Each one represents a branch of our great military. All independent on their own, they do a fabulous job because then there's divisions within, i.e. the Army has the Special Forces as part of what they do. They have the Army Rangers, which is a great group, but all fighters. And so every morning when I get up and I thank the Lord for giving me another day, ask Him what I'm supposed to do today, and then I go down and start my regime in the morning of my X2O, my life source, my berry product, my assimilator, my omegas, my cardiozyme, my joint health. You know, people got bad knees, they've got bad wrists, they've got lots of joint pain. Get them on the joint health. That's part of their Army for that, not that day or week, but I tell them, let's go for 3 months. In 30 days, if you see zero symptom, get off of it. You probably won't see anything different. That's just me. That's you know, I don't want to waste people's time or money. But make sure they're taking, if you look on the bottle and it says take 2 a day, that's not a therapeutic dose. That's why you have your upline. That's why you have Bodie Fox. That's why you have Ken. That's why you have all the guys at Xooma that you can call when you need them. You need to learn the difference in a therapeutic dosage and a regular dosage. Me, you know, doctor who's supposed to know everything, when I had, you know, last year, this very May going into June, I ended up fracturing my tibia and crushing my medial meniscus. I'm on 2 crutches this time last year. I'm on a $1,300 brace. Me, Dr. T, who knows everything there is to know, had to have Dr. Marsh get on the phone with me and said, hey, T, did you jump your joint health up to a therapeutic dosage? Never crossed my mind. Me, who's supposed to know all this stuff. I went on that. I went on my therapeutic dosage, and right now, Dr. Marsh, you know where my deck is upstairs on my 2nd floor. I'm marching on it greatly. Cut grass 5 hours today. I think that with no brace, with no crutches, and them telling me that I'm destined for surgery on that knee probably in 3 months. That was 7 months ago. Now, I'm not saying I'll never have to have surgery. I'm not saying it'll never go bad again. But right now I've got a 1.5 mile track around my property. I walk it 2 or 3 times a week. I cut grass. It takes me about 15 hours to cut everything. Right this very second, I feel absolutely tremendous. Why? One little twist, I believe. Is it true? Is that what did it? Was it the joint health? I can tell you, frankly, I do not know. But here's what I can tell you. I had 2 orthopedic surgeons, friends of mine, look at this, showed me the MRI, saw it and said, brother, it's surgery time for this thing. You have completely crushed that meniscus. But yet right this second, I have absolutely zero pain. Praise God, a lot of prayer. And I praise Xooma because I am telling you, those are the only things I did, and I needed a little help from a friend. Keep in touch with your upline. Keep in touch with your sideline. Ask corporate if there's some combination you don't know, because they may know or think about it or have heard somebody who've done something for whatever the ailment or symptom is. I can't remember the lady's name, but, a few weeks ago she just had, I think if there was 43 diseases I never even heard of, she had them and has been helped with all of them by our Xooma products. Was it that? Maybe, maybe not. But all I know is, and all she knows is, for years and years and years and years and years, she had the problem and it never left until she started. And I believe it was Bodie and his friends that got Daryl and those guys that got him on the product. So you never know who you're talking to. You never know who you're going to help. But remember this, you're not alone. You have a complete army. You have what I call a total system concept of health and wellness in a packet that stands behind you. And not just stands there today. It's something we think, hey, maybe this might work. There's 20 or 30 years behind the Xooma products and the family before it became Xooma and then moved into Xooma. And the last 15 and 16 years, they've done nothing but taken that sword and sharpen it. In Japan, one of my black belts that I studied was the art of the sword. And it ain't just a piece of metal, kids. They take a piece of steel and forge it in the fire. And you come out with a real samurai sword, you can spend $100,000 easily on this thing. Why? Because they're continuing to sharpen it. They're continuing to get ready for the battle. The battle's not every day for them, but they're ready when it comes. And that's why you want a baseline of these fabulous products, because you want the base of your body, as I believe mine was. I believe I was prepared. But when I came down and just crushed that medial meniscus, I needed extra help. So with that said, I don't want to take up a lot more of your time, but I want to thank you for being on this call. Know that you have one of the greatest groups of products behind you that you could possibly have. Aim toward this wellness. Add a little bit of fitness to what you're doing. Add what you know in your heart is the right things to do for your health and wellness. Prepare every day, because the war, listen to me carefully, it's not if it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You will have a war in your life. A war that you will know about, not the war that's going on every day inside our bodies. The war every day is the good guys and bad guys are at fighting every single day. You just may not feel them. But there will come a time where you or your family member will have a major war. Are you ready? That's why we train in our military, all that we do, and why we have the best military in the world. You don't wait till we have a war break out. What I used to teach my black belts was that. Sensei, why are we throwing 500 punches today? Why are we doing all these kicks? Why are we doing 100 push-ups? Why are we doing 300 sit-ups? Because today, if the bad guy comes upon you, you can't say, hey, hold on. Can you hold on a minute? Let me practice this block and maybe 3 or 4 punches and a couple of kicks, and let me get fit, and then I'll fight. You need to be ready that day. And that's how I feel our ongoing processes with our Xooma products. Dr. Marsh, thank you for allowing me a little time. I appreciate it, brother, and we'll turn it back to you.
Hey, Dr. T, I appreciate that. Great message tonight. I agree. I'm just going to share a quick thought as we conclude tonight's call. One of the things that I'm taking as a message away from Dr. T's call tonight is, there are a lot of products in Xooma's line that, he uses every day, that I use every day, that are those foundational products. And, there's always reasons for those, right? There's very few products in Xooma's line that would be overlapping products, right? So there's a lot of value in taking those. But I'm also going to send another message tonight. I realize that not everybody is willing, or sometimes not everybody is able, whether it's just, their inability to fathom taking a lot of supplements, or maybe their inability, depending on their financial situation, to afford them. I know there's sometimes people who look at, the line of Xooma supplements and sometimes, don't know if they can do as much as they would like, or maybe aren't ready to do as much as we would love to see them doing, right? Where do you start? Well, I think Dr. T laid a great foundation here. I mean, things like X2O is a great starting point. In fact, it is the foundation. If somebody's not doing X2O, I think they're doing themselves a disservice with any of the other products that they're going to take. Not that those products don't work well, but boy, they seem to work even better when the body's properly hydrated. We've got good pH balance, and we've got good trace mineral and electrolytes flowing into the body, right? So if we've got that foundation covered, everything else tends to work a lot better in conjunction with that. And then products like Life Source, like the assimilator, digestive enzymes are so critical for human health, but yet so overlooked by most people in the world, right? There's a lot of great foundational stuff, but then there's also that stuff that people don't normally use every month. And I'll give you just a great example. We're going through this time of pandemic, and a lot of people who understand Xooma's product line understand that, well, they may not necessarily need to be using Silver Max every single day, especially if they're in good health, even though some people do use it maybe, say, once a day just as a preventative. It's not necessarily for a lot of folks an everyday use product. However, in the midst of what we've seen happening in our world today, it was no surprise to us at Xooma that our sales of Silver Max shot up over 300% in 30 days, because we understand that a lot of people realize, hey, that's a great product to help support and boost my immune system, especially during times of uncertainty like we're in. So what a great opportunity for people to take a product in Xooma's line that maybe isn't a daily use product for them, but put it to the test and put it into motion right now. Natural Selection would be another one of those products that's not a typical daily use product, but people use it in times when the body is in more of a crisis mode and battling something fairly serious. So that becomes a very important product to people. But again, there's those foundational standards. So there's balance in everything that we do, right? And so balance, and I love Dr. T's message on this, is, if you ask somebody, hey, what's your favorite Xooma product? Well, there'll be some that everybody will kind of all agree on, but then there are going to be others that some people say, oh, no, this is the best outside of those, or no, somebody's going to say this one's the best. The reality, and I love how Dr. T put it tonight, is it's what your body needs most. You may be sitting there and you may think, Ken, I'm the most flexible, pain-free person I know when it comes to my joints. But all of a sudden, if you're like Dr. T, you end up with a serious injury, unexpected, you may find, wow, that joint health product that I've never used is like this amazing product to help me restore some of the flexibility and the mobility and helping to reduce some of that pain in my joint that's now injured, right? So the beautiful thing about Xooma's product line, and I'll use Dr. T's military analogy here, is it's kind of like when one branch of the military goes in, but then they realize that while they were doing a great job getting the job done as they were tasked to do, but all of a sudden maybe they get a little overwhelmed. Sometimes they have reinforcements come in, or maybe another branch of the military comes in to support them in their mission. Think about it that way. Your Xooma product line very much falls into that same kind of thinking, where you may be using a set of Xooma's products on a daily, regular basis, but then may discover that there's another health concern or maybe something that's not quite right that you want to get your body back up to health on. And maybe it's not available to you in what you're currently using in Xooma's line. Maybe you need to go and start looking at other products in the line that might benefit you in other areas. And so that's the beauty of Xooma's product line, is that you have enough of a coverage in so many different areas of health that there's very few areas of health that we can't address and address very effectively with what you have in Xooma. So I'm excited for all of us to know that that's how good and how varied our product line is. And more importantly, I'm excited for those of you who are out there regularly sharing Xooma with others, because I know, depending on what their health goals are or what their health concerns are, we've got products that can absolutely make a difference for them. And those are the people that either become folks who go on to help us build and continue to grow our company by sharing with others, or even if they don't, they often become great long-term loyal customers of ours. And either way, we're thrilled to have them. So more importantly, thrilled to have you guys on this call tonight. I certainly appreciate you tuning in live, sharing some of your time with us, letting us share some of this information with you. And remember, as always, this is a recorded call. We're going to go ahead and post this right through the back office of your Xooma website. You can access this and many, many others back there to either re-listen to or share with others. So, Dr. T, as always, I appreciate your time, my friend, and thanks for the wonderful message tonight.
Thank you. Everybody be sure to stay hydrated as this heat's coming on. So thank you and have a blessed week.
That's right. Summer is here. All right, folks, thanks again for listening in. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And until next time, remember 2 weeks from now, we'll be doing another great health education call. I invite you to come back then. Until then, folks, take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.